When the attention is pulled away from what is present, what is here, then feeling bored can come up. The feeling of being bored can only come when you're trying because there is effort and intentions. The old conditioned self doesn't know how to be present. It's always doing. But being is effortless. It is pure awareness of what is. The being cannot be boring because it is not something to do. When we are awakening, especially in the beginning, it pulls your attention to the being. And at first, it's unfamiliar. And I think more importantly here, the old created self becomes restless in the unbecoming. And I sense this pull or being pulled inwardly, being pulled into this emptiness, this silence that we're not used to. I wasn't used to it. So for me, when that started to happen, it felt a little bit unsettling, uncomfortable, if I can use that word. And remember, we're still having a very human experience. Everyday thoughts are there for me. Feelings move through me. Emotions move through me. Whatever sensation is moving, it is felt. I am unbecoming, but I'm still having this very human experience. If I am awakened, then it feels like I'm no longer in this body. So for me, I am awakening, unbecoming, but I am still in this body having this experiencing what is constantly changing. I read a comment the other day, and it read somewhat like this, I'm not quoting, that being can get boring sometimes. And I'm not trying to call anyone out, but immediately when I was reading the comment, I understood it. And I said, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. So here I am talking about it. The feeling of boredom pulls. Do you see this? It pulls boredom. It's pulling your attention out, pulling your attention out into something else. When the feeling of boredom is there, it needs to find something to do, the energy of it. So it pulls. And what it wants is our attention. Beingness cannot be boring. It can only feel boring when you are trying to be, if that makes sense. For me, something is pulling me into this natural state of being as I am surrendering to it. That is the transformation, going from becoming, always becoming, to just being. The being might be feeling boring because you're trying to be. There was a time where I was trying to be, I was trying to meditate, I was trying to sit in this silence. I was trying to do the things I knew I was supposed to be doing, if that makes sense. But I realized it's not something to do. Your natural state is not something to do. You can only be this. And that's when you can recognize that you're experiencing an inner transformation because something is changing on the inside. So the interest you used to have, what held your attention, begins to fade away. Sometimes you don't even recognize that they're no longer there. They begin to dissolve. The more you unbecome, the more something on the inside becomes exhausted from trying, exhausted from becoming. For me, this is the purpose of unbecoming, isn't it? So you're left in the unbecoming process, you left in the silence of just being, and now everything is becoming quiet. So you start to recognize things more clearer. You become more self-aware because something is quiet inside now. And this is where being begins for me. This is where the being begins. So I no longer have to try to be it because it's already here. The chase is slowing down now. Even the mind used to race, and that is slowing down now because now you're recognizing it, you're observing it, you're not being dragged by it. We're not chasing after the thoughts, chasing after what gives the old self something to maintain. When we identify in some sort of way, then we can feel bored because we're identifying. Something created gets bored because it has to be maintained in some sort of way. The old conditioned self always, I don't know if you recognize this, always wants to be doing something, chasing. But being cannot be bored. It is effortless awareness. When the attention is pulled away from what is present, what is here, then you start to go into more. Then I feel like we start to become the feeling more. We're being pulled away from what is true, your true nature, and then you start to associate with your feelings more. What changed for me in my transformational journey is going from creating the moment to being in the moment, right? I can just be in the moment without trying to adjust it, and I feel that when we become more self-aware, it is no longer how to fit in the moment, but it becomes how to move in it, how to move in the changing, in the ebbs and flows of life. Because we're still having this very human experience. As you're becoming more still, it's not that we're doing, it's not more doing, you just become more aware. And even in our doing, because remember, we're having a human experience. We have to get up, we have to do things every day, we have to take care of a certain responsibility. We still have responsibilities that we have to take care of. I think that's enough without labeling it as a role. But in our responsibilities, I feel like we are more self-aware in the doing. And once you are more self-aware in the doing, that becomes the guiding light for me. Because there is the awareness behind the moving or the movement. There's the awareness behind our choices. We are still going about everyday life, but we are being. That was something for me. How do I balance being and life in itself, in essence? And then I realized that the being is not something to do. The being can only be felt. The being for me is before we connect to any intentions or activities. Presence. When you're being, you don't have to try to be present. If you recognize that, when you're being, you are. You're not becoming, you just are. Being allows us to recognize why the feeling of boredom is there. Beingness does not bring about boredom. Other states, they become exhausted because we have to maintain them. If you recognize that, and that's why I stopped trying. I stopped trying to be. I stopped trying to become. And once all of that, once you let go of trying, then there's a space there, a space. The more you experience stillness, presence, what I love about life, the whole phenomena of life, space, and people wanting, are so curious to find out about how things are. What I love about it is it points us to being. Everything is flowing when you're being. You are present. Everything is just flowing. The moon, the sun, the stars, everything is as it should be on its own. And I feel once you stop chasing and you stop trying and you're not trying to become, when all of that falls away, that's when you have touched your being. And it is effortless. It is effortless. It cannot be bored. The trying is created. The being is felt. You can only be this. You can't do it. Being is effortless awareness of what is.